if you have high stress, utilizing exercise as your stress reliever is not, I don't want somebody to dump into
They
just
need to
this bucket.
soothe.
Well, no, not what I was going to say, because
Okay.
exercise is it raises your cortisol temporarily. Now,
Feel for you.
over time, it helps it go down, but in the moment, it raises your cortisol. So I always want people to have at least a few calming, still stress relievers. So I love playing music and meditation. I think yoga, yes, it's movement, but I think can fall into that category.
Yeah, depending on the kind.
You know, and community, I think all of those things can do. Calling a friend, all of those things. I just often have people come in. I'm like, what are your, coping strategies? Running or something like that. Well, your body needs calming ways to release the stress, not just ones that your cortisol's high during it.
Is this where people start talking about the parasympathetic nervous system?
Yes.
Is that where this comes in? Okay.
Yes.
We need to trigger the parasympathetic nervous system.
And we need to help our body get out of fight or flight and relax. And especially this day and age, like there's so much of go, stress, move, that are, again, maladaptive, right? Our bodies then adapt to functioning in this fight or flight. And it's like our bodies forget how to rest and relax, which then affects our digestion and how well we absorb nutrients and, how well we communicate and our beliefs on ourselves and, all the things.
I wonder if some folks are stressed out so much that they don't realize when they are stressed
100%.
out. They just live a life of stressed out.
100%. I actually lived in a space when I went through a divorce that I started having, I started getting dizzy is actually what was happening to me. So I started getting dizzy and I was like, what is going on? I was like, and I couldn't figure it out. So I started spending tens of thousands of dollars. I was like, I had a brain MRI and, I had blood work done and I was seeing acupuncturists and chiropractors. And I was like, I'm for sure I'm dying of cancer.
The whole kit and caboodle, throw it at me. Yeah.
Oh, and I'm like, let's
figure this out.
And I'm a pretty holistic person. So I was trying all those routes, but I'm also like, let me also get blood work and get an MRI.
Clinicals,
like I want to, I want all the things daily, every day for like a year. I was like, what is going, like something's wrong with my body. And then it moved, and I'm not an anxious person by nature.
Right.
Then it moved into where then I was like, am I having chest pains? And I'm like, something's wrong with my heart. This is why I'm getting dizzy. Like, we're gonna figure this out. So I went to see a cardiologist, and he like basically laughed at me. He's like, you're perfectly healthy. Like,
stressed
fine.
all the time.
Well, that's what he said. He's stressed, and I was like, I don't feel like, I was like, I have, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I had a list. I was like, I didn't tell you all of my stressors.
Yeah.
But I felt mentally in control. I was like, I feel in control of all of these pieces. And so that doesn't make sense to me, even though, this is where I say dietitians need dietitians and doctors need doctors and trainers need trainers.
Yes, because we got blind spots.
We have blind spots. And so this is where I was like, I know that like stress can create all these things, but surely this isn't it because I feel in control of everything.
Yeah.
So I reached out. I was talking to this therapist at the time to help me deal with the transition. There's kids in the mix and all of this. And
right.
So I was talking to this therapist at the time and I said, is it possible that I'm having these somatic symptoms from stress, even though I feel mentally and emotionally fine?
Yeah, because your body's processing things differently than your mind.
I was like, I'm exercising, I'm doing yoga, and I'm meditating, and I'm like happy. Gosh darn
I'm happy.
Like I'm meditating, it's working.
I'm doing the things.
I was like, is it possible that my body is reacting even though mentally I feel perfectly fine? And he's like,
you could be masking.
Well, and he's like, Ashley, 100%.
1,000%. Yes.
And he even said, he was like, Ashley, he's like, if I knew, and I
how many people came in and said, everything's okay. They cognitively think they've got it all under control, but every part of their body's like emitting the distress.
And I asked him, I said, he said, Ashley, he said, I know a lot about you at this point. And he said, and you're a happy person. But he goes, but if I knew 100 women, he goes, I'm not talking about clients. If I knew 100 women who had been through what you'd been through, he's like, I would have expected anxiety or stress or meltdown well before now. And I was like, in a weird way, that makes me feel better. I don't know, like whatever. But
you're resilient.
Yeah, but then that wasn't quite everything I needed to hear yet. I was like, that was a building block for it.
Yeah.
Well, then I went and I was like, I need to like get out of my world. So then I left and took my kids to my parents and whatever. Well, then it was almost opposite of what I needed. I was like hyper focused on my body, and I was like, it's my heart, it's my heart. And so I went to see a family friend who was a cardiologist, so second cardiologist I'd seen, and he laughed at me, and I think I needed that. He's like, you're fine. He's like, you just need like internal peace. And so like, whatever, he didn't think he used those words. He was like, you're stressed. Like,
you're stressed.
Go take some antidepressants or something. I don't know. Like, whatever. He's like, get out of my office. But I needed that because then it all went away. Then
coping strategies.
I revamped what I was doing in a more intentional and grounded way, instead of like, I meditated or I did therapy and I did yoga. Then this is like the mind part. I had to believe that it was stress, honestly. That's what I really needed to believe, that it wasn't something else. But I also had to like surrender to that and be like, all right, I'm going to like give my all into like really like grounding, and everything went away. Like, I'm like, oh, okay. But the mind is powerful. And so this is like, I was like creating all of this stuff, because then it was like the stress affected the body. Well, then I got stressed about how the body was affected, which created anxiety that would never, and it was this like vicious cycle.
Yeah.
When really I had all the tools I needed. I just needed to breathe into it.
So like do them. You needed to, some way that you were doing them.
Well, I needed intentionality behind it, and I had to surrender to it.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a difference between like, I did a guided meditation and being really present to meditating, which again isn't easy to break into. So like it's a process.
All these things are hard, y'all.
I did
you can do it. People can do it.
Yeah. Like I did a meditation course like with a friend.
Oh, I did the mindfulness-based stress reduction, the John Kabat-Zinn 8-week program.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
I did. Oh, what's her name? Karen something. Karen Way, Karen Anderson, I don't know what her name. Sorry, I forgot your name, Karen. But she's actually
it was a meditation
US. She does a lot of meditation class, but she did one in person. I was living in Vail at the time.
Okay.
And my friend was like, come do this with me. It's like at our yoga studio. And I was like, okay. And I did this course, and it was hard. It was so hard. I'm like, she's like, we worked our way up, but I want to say on like week 8 or something, we were supposed to sit there for 25 minutes in a group with our eyes closed. And not move and not scratch your nose when it itches.
Oh, that's the hardest.
And which I actually is also really powerful. You're supposed to focus on it without itching it. So
watch it like, rise and fall.
She's like, focus on the itch. And anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then like breath and all that. Anyway, I went through the whole thing, and I was like, whew, I'm glad that was done. All right. And I really don't think that I mean, it was a great introduction for me, and I did it for 8 weeks, and I was or whatever. And it was a great introduction. And it wasn't until later on, when I was dealing with all of that stress, that I was like, I need to like deep dive into this.
Yeah.
And then I surrendered to it, and it was powerful. But I had to work myself into it and get to that, do some guided meditations and be present to it, and then set myself up so I could sit on the floor for 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But then all that training was still really helpful, because then I was able to pull in all the things that I had learned.
Heck yeah.
Because I wasn't ready for it the first time.
Yeah. You had all the tools. You just needed the life to give you the impetus to reconfigure how you're using them. Yeah.